Peace, brothers and sisters who have arrived here on this channel. This news here is very important because my first channel that I always have mentioned for you guys that I used to have for many years on YouTube is now back. YouTube has unblocked the channel after 3 and more years of it being blocked. So for you guys that know my channel here, I am at Ricardo Garcia here, the YouTube channel. But I always tell you guys at the beginning of the video that I've been doing videos for over 8 years already because I lost a main channel. And this main channel had many things that was a hard truth to hear, let's put it that way. And this main channel is now unblocked. It is now here, visible. It has 29.9 thousand subscribers. It used to have 30,000 plus 400 subscribers here. And it's now back. YouTube has unblocked it. And all of the content that I've been doing for many, many years is now available online again. I've been doing videos here for over 10 years, or about 10 years. So the beginning here of the content that I've been doing on this old channel that I lost goes all the way 9-10 years ago. And I was watching the Revelation 12 sign here with the Portuguese speaking people public here back in the days, counting the days to it and after it. So I have been doing videos here for a long, long time, and now this channel is back after being blocked by YouTube. On this video, on this channel here, I had a lot of views. So I used to have 26,000 views, 125,000 views here on this one. And here, I think the most viewed video on my old channel, 213,000 views 5 years ago. So now you guys know that the channel does exist and it's now back online. I received yesterday this email here from YouTube, and they are pleased to let me know that they recently reviewed my account and confirmed that it's not in violation of the terms and services and lift the suspension after 3 whole years waiting for it. So I was unable to access my YouTube account with this email, and because of that, all of my things was lost until yesterday, and now it's back, and I already started doing the first live stream there to show the old subscribers that this channel is back. And I think this is perhaps a warning, the last warning for the next feast that we're about to see, which is the Feast of Trumpets, the true Feast of Trumpets. So if you follow my channel, you know that we have been hoping for the rapture in this time frame that we are now. So in the end of 2025, at most 2026, because of the ultimate timeline. So the ultimate timeline here, if you don't know yet, I created this timeline and I backed it up with historical, astronomical information that supports the idea that this year has got to be the year of the rapture. And I have the timeline, the whole timeline here. So from the creation of the world in Jesus' timeline, it all points to the crucifixion being in the year 32. We have astronomical evidence and historical evidence with biblical narrative to point this out. This all points out to 2025 to be the rapture, and the latest that the rapture can happen, the latest that the Daniel's 7th week or the tribulation can happen is by the spring of 2026, in order for all of this to be correct. And because of that, we have been watching the previous feast dates in order to check if the rapture could have happened. And we just passed October 7th, full moon, Feast of New Oil, true Feast of New Oil, feast. And unfortunately, it did not happen. And now there's only one feast left, which is a true Feast of Trumpets. If you know my channel, you know as well that by the understanding of the sky clock, the calendar of the sky based on the position of the sun, moon, and stars, we know that the Jews or the Jewish nation, they are 1 month ahead in their countings, in their calendars. Therefore, they call a feast a month ahead of the true calendar. Therefore, the true calendar points for the Feast of Trumpets on when the sun is on Libra with the new moon visible. It points to October 23rd, 2025 to be the true Feast of Trumpets. And that's the last window that we have for it to be the rapture of the church. Because after this period of time, we will go through a tense period of time, because after the fall feasts, we will end up in a period of time that it is fall and then winter, plus smaller feasts, which does not align perfectly with the rapture of the church, because it has less typologies than previous feasts. The last strong feast for the rapture of the church should be the true Feast of Trumpets on the sliver of the new moon being sighted in October 23rd or 24th. After that, after the fall feast, we enter this period of time that goes all the way to the rapture limit that we have here, with smaller feast dates, plus being on the fall and on the winter time frame, which is hard to believe a harvest on those period of times. So we have a rapture limit here because we believe that the covenant of the Antichrist has got to start by 1st of April 2026. That's when the Jews will call it Passover, 1 month ahead of the true Passover. But regardless, that's the April Fool's Day, known internationally as the Day of the Lies, right? The Day of Lying. And that's when the Jews will call it Passover. That's the special date for Christ to choose, for the Antichrist to make his covenant here and start a tribulation, because it is the day of the lie when the Jews will accept a false Messiah, which is the Antichrist making this false covenant that won't last 7 years, because he will cut short 3.5 years later. This points out to May 14, 2033, the true Passover being the crowning of Christ with a blood moon there as well. So it fits perfectly the narrative. So if this is correct, then the rapture must happen at least 40 days before it, because of the typology of Noah, and because also we know that the Antichrist needs at least 40 days to establish peace among the chaos that the rapture will cause in the world. So at least 40 days is February 20, 2026. That's the rapture limit for us. But before that, we have the fall feast here, which is the most likely date, the Feast of Trumpets. And after that, we will be within this time frame here, with smaller feasts that makes less sense to be the rapture of the church, makes less sense to be a harvesting of the grace period of time, because other feasts previously made more sense. But we will watch it. However, it makes less sense for the rapture to happen here other than the next one, which will be the Feast of Trumpets. So we see here that because of what we see ahead of us, we are currently about to enter the 7th month, the month of Libra, where the Feast of Trumpets, then Atonement, then Tabernacles takes place, the fall feasts. So at starting the 7th month, it will be already fall. We'll have been through all of the summer and all of the spring, which is more likely to be the harvest part of the church. After that, we'll see this fall feast, which still has got, especially the Feast of Trumpets, some typology to be the marriage supper of the Lamb with the church. But after that, then we're going to enter the 8th month, which is the month of the flood. It has some typology there, but not too much. And after that, the 9th month, the month of the Feast of Hanukkah, or the Feast of Oil. Not the new oil, but the Feast of Oil, the Feast of light, the Feast of Hanukkah. And by February, it will be the 10th month, which the 10th month has got no feasts there. So after the fall feasts, we will be on the winter time frame, which is hard to believe a rapture or a harvesting taking place on that moment. It makes more sense for the church to be the summer harvest. So by the start of the 7th month or Feast of Trumpets, it will be already over. But there's still some possibility for the rapture to be here. But after that, it's going to be hard to believe fully a rapture taking place in the winter time frame after the main feasts have gone by. Therefore, we have a strong possibility here for us this October. The next feast, the Feast of Trumpets, taking place on the 23rd or 24th of October this year. But remember, after this period of time here, and if we cross the spring or the April Fool's Day, Passover, and we're still here, then we have to question all of this calendar, all these historic events that we have as truth or set truth. They might be incorrect, and at that point in time, we will not have a solid base anymore to guess or to check where the possibility of the rapture could be. Because, for example, if we're still here or the rapture takes place on Passover 2026, then we have to assume that the fall feast starts the tribulation. And if the fall feast starts the tribulation, it will be already the year 5994. And it will end 7 years later on the fall feast of 2033 at the beginning of 6001. And Christ will be crowned on Passover on 6001 in 2034, which makes less sense than the perfectly alignment with the crucifixion on the year 32. So for now, we have such a small time frame to believe the rapture of the church, and it still does make sense. However, as we are going through the summer, I have to remind you guys that we are approaching the 7th month, which is when the sun and the moon will align here at the constellation of Libra. And when we see the new sliver of the new moon, that's when the Feast of Trumpets, or the first day of the 7th month, starts. But that's already, as you can see here, fall or autumn. It is not summer anymore. And we know we had a resurrection on spring with Jesus, and we will have a resurrection there at the fall feast in the end of the tribulation for tribulation saints. So we know God will use spring and will use the fall for a harvest period of time. And we believe that the most likely moment that the church could have been raptured is on the summer time frame, because the church began on Pentecost, which is on summer time frame. So it makes sense that the church also leaves on the summer time frame, but we were about to end this summer on the next Feast of Trumpets on October 23rd. It is a possibility for the rapture because the feast itself is known by many names that has a typology of marriage. However, we'll have to question or ask God why he chose the fall feast for the church that started on summer, and what will he do on the summer, because it makes sense that God will do it in an orderly way, spring, summer, fall, to be the harvest. And it does not make sense for God to use twice the fall, once the spring and none the summer time frame for a harvest, because on the summer is where you harvest the most fruit, the most cereal, the most things on earth. So we are going to approach the Feast of Trumpets when we start the fall feasts, but still is less likely than the summer. But as we know, it is the end of this rapture window that is strong. We'll enter, if we are not leaving here, we're going to enter a weak rapture window that will extend all the way until February 20 because of the fall and winters plus smaller feasts. But still does make sense because we have this limit here to leave at least 40 days before April Fool's Day, Passover next year. So in order for all of this to be correct, in order for history to be correct, in order for all the studies in the calendars in astronomical way, in historical way, to be correct, we must leave very soon, especially now in the Feast of Trumpets. So yes, basically that's just an update that I wanted to give you guys now because that my channel is back. And I really hope that you're blessed by this video because it seems like this channel returned right at the end for me to announce this next Feast of Trumpets. I know some people on the internet, they are saying that the Feast of Trumpets will happen tomorrow or the next day because of the calendar, Enoch calendar or somewhat. But the true Feast of Trumpets, we have been announcing this for a while, will be on October 23rd. And that's going to be our strongest and last strongest feast of the year for it to be the rapture of the church. So basically that's it. I hope that you're blessed by this video. I hope that we leave very soon. I'm very glad that my channel is back. I'm able to announce it to even more people on around the world. This news that the trumpets on October might be the rapture of the church. And I hope that we see each other in the kingdom of God very, very. Amen. Maranatha.